I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome. Tonight we have a public hearing first on the agenda on the inclusion of the agricultural district, and roll call vote, please.
District number 1, Legislator Sturmano. Present. District 2, Legislator Alveria.
Present.
District 4, Legislator Nasarino. Present. District 5, Legislator Aldana.
Here.
District 6, Legislator Gross.
Present.
District 7, Legislator Castellano.
Present.
District 8, Legislator LaRue. Present. District 9, Legislator DiCarlo.
Present.
District 3, Chairman Austin.
Present. All right, I would like the clerk of the legislature, Diane Schoenfeld, to please read the public notice.
Notice is hereby given that pursuant to Article 25AA of the Agriculture and Markets Law of the State of New York, Section 303B, that one or more requests have been received by the Putnam County Legislature for inclusion of predominantly viable agricultural land within Putnam County Certified Agricultural District. Further notice is hereby given that the Putnam County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board has considered these requests for inclusions and reported that the process for inclusion would serve the public interest by assisting in maintaining a viable agricultural industry within the district. Further notice is hereby given that the parcels requested for inclusion are Town of Kent Presbyterian Conference Association, tax map number 2.1-46, 120 acres, 2.1-48, 62.46 acres, and 2.1-51, 43.61 acres. Total acreage 226.07. Town of Phillipstown, Garrison Properties, tax map number 71.2-92, total acreage 70.63. Nicholas and Panay Angel, tax map number 90.10-1-6, total acreage 17.72. Town of Putnam Valley, Frederick Klinger, tax map number 61.2-21, total acreage 50.21, for a total acreage of 364.63. Further notice is hereby given that the public hearing will be held on Wednesday, March 6, 2013 at 6:45 p.m. in the Historic Courthouse, Palmer, New York, to consider these requests for inclusion and the recommendations of the Putnam County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board by order of the Putnam County Legislature, Diane Schoenfeld.
Thank you, Diane. I'm now going to read the procedure for comments on the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak regarding the petition for inclusion into the agricultural district should come up to the microphone. State their name and the town in which they reside. There will be no cross-discussion with the members of the legislature. This is our opportunity to hear from the public. If you do have a question, please leave your name and contact information with the clerk, and we will get back to you promptly. The members of the Agricultural Board have visited all the parcels that have been requested to be included into the district, and have submitted their recommendations as to the inclusions. Anyone from the public would like to speak on these? Okay. I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Motion to close the public hearing.
Second. All right, we have 8 minutes to mingle.
Thank you. Right, Mom.
Okay. So that's 7 o'clock here. Okay, we'll stand for the pledge for the regular meeting. Carl, you did it this time. Mr. Kenny wouldn't last time. Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone again. Roll call vote, please.
District number 1, Legislator Scucamaro.
Present.
District 2, Legislator Oliveri.
Present.
District 4, Legislator Nasreen.
Present.
District 5, Legislator Alabama.
Here.
District 6, Legislator Gross.
Here.
District 7, Legislator Castellano.
Present.
District 8, Legislator LaBouche.
Present.
District 9, Legislator DeCarlo.
Present.
District 3, Chairman Nachman.
Present. Okay. All right, proclamation. Sam, would you read the first proclamation, please, for the National Inhalant and Poisons Prevention Week?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Can members of the Putnam County Communities That Care Coalition come forward if you're here? How you doing? How are you? How you doing? Good, thank you. And in 1961, Congress designated the third full week in March to be the National Poison Prevention Week. And since that time, that week has been incorporated into the national consciousness to make people aware of the dangers of poisoning. And I don't know if you know this, but 90% of poisoning occurs in the home. And the large majority of it involves children. What this awareness does with the poisoning is to have parents, especially parents and guardians, be cognizant, be focused on what's in your house at all times, because that's where the deaths occur. Old medicines, cleaning fluids. Kids don't know what they are. Little toddlers, they grab that stuff, and God forbid, you know, the result could be a severe tragedy. So we want to recognize that, and by talking about it, make people aware of that particular aspect of the national consciousness, the dangers of poisoning. But also, we want to talk a little bit about inhalants. I work over at Putnam Valley High School as an assistant principal. We had a very tragic incident about 3 years ago. A young person, all of a sudden, falls in our hallway, in our main hallway, and just drops. We rush to the individual. We find out that in between classes, went into one of the booths in the bathroom, took out some, I believe it was like model glue, but something very, very coarse, and just put it up his nostril and breathed as hard as he could, took a few steps out, and dropped like a ton of bricks. Thank God the individual did not die. But that type of thing, that experimentation, that involvement in these inhalants also is another supreme danger for our children and our young people. So in proclaiming the week of March 17th through the 23rd, again, we want to raise the consciousness to these inhalants. Parents, be aware. Know what your children are doing, especially your young teens. And protect your household with these deadly poisons, cleaning fluids, things like that. Lock them up, secure them. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. I just want to first thank the legislature and the county exec for approving this proclamation. About 7% of our students, grades 8 through 12, admit to doing some type of inhalant. It could be glue, it could be computer duster, it could be anything that's in the house that they're getting high by. So it could be the first 100th or 1,000th time that they've done it, and they could die from it because oxygen escapes from your brain. And one thing I also wanted to mention was the National Organization on Inhalant Abuse actually emailed me and wanted to thank Putnam County for doing this proclamation, because a lot of local municipalities don't do it. So I just want to say thank you for doing that for our youth.
It's very important.
And I'm Janine Cunningham from the Putnam County Youth Bureau. Joe DeMarzo cannot be here this evening, so I'm filling in for him. But, you know, we do have prevention educators in the school districts that are, you know, trying to reach out to the kids and and of course, we're always in the schools talking to the PTOs and stuff, to the parents about trying to educate them about getting these things out of their houses and
Absolutely.
medicine cabinets and all that.
And if you don't know where to dispose of things like that, please call the health department at 808-1390. Or if you want to go to one of our medication take-back days, please call 225-4646.
Bottom line is that we want the people to be aware, and hopefully the word will get out. So on behalf of Putnam County Executive, Mary Ellen Odell, and this legislature, we are going to proclaim March 17th through the 23rd as National Inhalant and Poison Prevention Week in Putnam County.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, next up, Legislator Scucciamara from Phillipstown is going to present a proclamation for the National Problem Gambling Awareness Week.
I think we have the same people coming up.
Same
here.
people.
You're very busy. Thank you so much. National Problem Gambling Awareness Week, March 3rd to the 9th, 2013. People don't realize that gambling is also an addiction, and it can wreak havoc on a family, as you know. Problem gambling is a public health issue affecting millions of Americans of all ages, races, and ethnic backgrounds. Problem gambling is treatable, and treatment is effective in minimizing the harm to both individuals and society as a whole. Whereas numerous individuals, professionals, and organizations have dedicated their efforts to the education of the public about problem gambling. Would you like to elaborate on that, or?
Sure. I just wanted to mention for problem gambling, about 50% of our students, that's half of our student body for grades 8 through 12, admit to gambling in the past year. So it's just something that we want to do as an awareness. We're not saying that people shouldn't do what they want to do with scratch-offs and nothing like that at all. We're just saying that we want you to know that this is a possible addiction that can happen. One of the things that we're doing is parent outreach. So we're going to be going to PTAs and PTOs and just talking about how this becomes an addiction and how it's not something you can overdose from, but it's something that does lead to drug use and suicide.
And drains your family.
Yes.
And stresses everybody. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, Legislator Anthony DiCarlo is going to recognize March 2013 as the Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month and April 2013 as Autism Awareness Month.
I ask that the park representatives please come up. Brandon, how are you?
How's everything? Nice to see you. How are you? Rand, you going to come join us?
She takes pictures.
Okay, she takes pictures. It's important that I read this resolution. Everybody listens clearly, because after the resolution, then I'm going to make a comment about how important we need to take action as we move forward. So, as Richie mentioned, March 2013 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, and April 2013 as Autism Awareness Month. Whereas PARC, Exceptional Opportunities for People with Disabilities, is an integral part of our community, serving both as a business as well as a human service agency. And whereas for 59 years, PARC has been a leading provider of services for children and adults with developmental disabilities from birth through advanced age. And whereas PARC is one of the leading employers of Putnam County and also offers vocational training and vocational rehabilitation to participants so they can provide quality work to the business community, training employees in both supported and competitive placements, and preparing high school special education students with the skills needed to enter the workforce. And whereas PARC educates and assists children with autism and special needs through its preschool to reach their fullest potential and retain their success through participation in the public school system. And whereas PARC's residential program provides a family atmosphere for more than 130 people in both homes and apartments throughout Putnam County. And whereas PARC's clinic provides a supportive system for both PARC participants and their families through individual, group, and vocational counseling. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Putnam County Executive and the Putnam County Legislature do hereby proclaim March 2013 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month and April 2013 as Autism Awareness Month, and recognize and commend PARC on its 59th anniversary and for the valuable services this agency provides to the people with disabilities, their families, and the businesses of the community. Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you.
Before I hand it over to Susan for a couple of words, I implore you, those of you who are here in the audience, those who will be seeing this tape, it is so vitally important that you understand the following. The state of New York is about to adopt its budget by April 1st, which is a couple of weeks. The governor has slated a 6% cut to Putnam County, which will total approximately $1.2 million in cuts to these services. So when I talk to you about being one of the leading providers of employment, when I talk to you about services for students from pre-K through adult age, these programs are going to be cut, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the frightening part about what goes on in politics. We had that tragedy that happened back in November, and we heard so much about what happened in Connecticut, so much about the importance of looking at social services, looking about helping people with disabilities, and helping people with mental health needs. Yet, it was a soundbite. You got the soundbite. Now it's time to come into money, and now we're going to cut it. I implore you to write letters, to talk to Senator Ball, Senator Gibson, Assemblyman Katz, and Assemblywoman Galiff. They're the ones who have the vote in the next couple of weeks. I've been saying this over and over again. We have to mobilize as a community, as people, and start to march on Albany. Here, we're at the crossroads, ladies and gentlemen. I have been saying this since day one when I got on this legislative body. This 2% cap is going to be crippling, and now we're at the point. And I'm sorry to have to use this venue as a recognizing park, but if I didn't, I would not be doing my fiduciary responsibilities as a legislator to let you know what's going on. So once again, I thank you very much. You know how much you mean to me and what you do with the students from all ages. I thank you very much for all you do. And please say something to the audience.
Thank you.
Susan, thank you very much.
Thank you. That was fabulous. Thank you so much. We're in a fight right now. $1.2 million being taken from our agency is devastating. And we're at a point right now where we've been cut so many times in the last 2 or 3 years, well over $1 million, that we have no fat to take from our budget any longer. We have to go into services now. We have to cut our services. We have to cut our programs. We have to cut our staff. We employ about 460 people. We give services to about 650 people every day, and that's really going to be a very devastating cut for us. So as wonderful as this always is that we get this proclamation, and I thank everyone for it, and I certainly thank you for your remarks, but you also need to make calls to the governor, because the governor is the one that's going to make this decision. No matter what the assembly does, no matter what the senators do, the governor still has single line item veto power. And if he says that we're going to cut the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities $120 million, and with federal share to the state of New York, that's $240 million cutting from our office, from our people with developmental disabilities. He is the one that you have to get to. We have a lot of information on our website, putnamarc.org. Go into our blog. We have phone numbers. We have letters drafted for you. You just need to sign them and send them off. But please get to the governor and tell him to restore this 6% cut. It is devastating to our community. And I want to thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for your words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, number 3, approval of minutes from the regular meeting of February 6, 2013. Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Item 4, pre-filed resolutions from the county auditor. Have a motion?
Correspondence.
Correspondence.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. No motion necessary.
Okay, pre-filed resolutions.
Business.
Got a motion?
Okay.
It's physical services.
I don't need that?
No, no.
Okay, I'm a new chairman, so just bear with me, I'm a new chairman. I'm not a lawyer. Okay, I'd also like to accept the other business right now, so we don't have to do it at the end. Does anyone have any problem with some of the other business?
I'll second that.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor now?
Aye.
Okay, Physical Services Committee, Chairman Albano.
On behalf of legislators Othmar, Scutchmeyer, and myself, 5A, approval of the Secor Agricultural District. Would you like me to read this or make a motion?
I would just say make the motion, we got a public hearing, so.
Okay, make a motion.
That's fine.
Okay, all in favor, discussion?
Aye.
Okay.
5B, approval inclusion of parcels in the Putnam County Agricultural District. We've accepted 4 parcels into the district based on recommendations of our Ag Board.
All in favor?
Comment?
Oh, comment, discussion.
If I can discuss them very quickly, yeah, we're good to go, but it doesn't need a second, but I just want to say that reviewing these, especially one in particular from Putnam Valley, I'm very pleased with the thorough job of the review that was done this year, and the inclusion of one particular farming area in Putnam Valley in this list, and I just want to thank the committee that I believe they did a really thorough job.
Yes, very good. Sam, 9 applied, 4 were accepted, and those that weren't accepted can apply again at the end of the year, so they get another shot. Okay, 5C.
Have a motion?
Yep.
It's made by the committee.
Second.
What's that?
It's made by the committee. No second necessary.
Okay, then.
Okay, just a vote.
Okay, just a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
5C, approval of reappointment of Putnam County Soil and Water Conservation Board. Or
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Rules, Enactments, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee, Chairman Nasarino.
Good evening. On behalf of legislators Castellano and DiCarlo and myself, I move the following item 5D, approval appointing Region 3 Fish and Wildlife Management Board. We hereby appoint Timothy C. Keith, Town of Carmel, as sportsman alternate representative for the balance of a 2-year term, said term to expire December 31st, 2013.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The Health, Social, Educational, and Environmental Committee, Chairman Oliverio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of legislators DeCarlo, Scutchmeyer, and myself, I'd like to make a special request before we even move into the resolutions, and that is, Mr. Chairman, I would ask this committee to allow us to bring forward on other business the resolutions A and B, 6A and 6B as replacements for 5E and 5F. But I believe we need to do a vote on that to allow that.
Any discussion? Anyone? Okay, all in favor of bringing them forward?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I would like to move forward then the new 5E, which is 6A, and that's the approval to seek a local law prohibiting the disposal and the application of natural gas waste in the county of Putnam. That's the first one.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the second one is the approval of local law, adding a new chapter 172 to the Putnam County Code in relation to the sale, application, and disposal of waste associated with natural gas exploration and extraction activities. That is the second part, and I'd like to move that forward.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, Protective Services Committee, Chairman Gross.
Good evening. On behalf of legislators LeBou and Oliverio and myself, I'd like to present 5G, which is the approval of a fund transfer 13T022 to the Sheriff's Department's /retiree payout and hire experienced deputy, and that has zero impact on the budget.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I have an additional item here for 5H. I'd like to make the motion we accept that additional item.
So moved. Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is basically the approval of the 2013 STOP DWI plan, and the addition had to do with the numbers that weren't exactly accurate, and they were modified to fit the program. They are accurate now.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Personnel Committee, Chairman DeCarlo.
Thank you, Chairman. On behalf of myself, legislators Gross and Serino, from the Personnel Committee, I'd like to move item 5A forward, approval and confirmation of the appointment of Director of Real Property Tax Services, Ms. Lisa Johnson, Director for the balance of a 6-year term, said term to expire September 30, 2013. I move the resolution forward.
Discussion?
Yes.
Adini, please go first.
Thank you, Chairman Ockmer. I will be abstaining on this vote this evening, although I am in full support of the appointment of Lisa Johnson as the Director of Real Property. Unfortunately for me, it's a matter of principle and consistency. I have been voting no in terms of out-of-county residency for management appointments. But I know that she has the votes here tonight, and I look forward to working with her.
Well, I'm absolutely elated that Lisa Johnson is going to be appointed to this position. She's worked in the position for over 7 months. She knows the position well. She's also been involved in that agency for quite some time. I'm not sure of the tenure, but she knows her stuff. She's a wonderful lady, and I'm very happy to wholeheartedly endorse her. Also, I would add one more thing. There's an advantage of living outside the county because you're not swayed, and there's less opportunities for coercion or whatever. I think it's a healthy thing to have this position outside the county.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too will be abstaining from this vote, and the conflict on the abstention, which we need to present if you can abstain, is that I too feel strongly that the managerial positions in the county should be within the county. I always believe that. I will continue to believe that, and that's just my thing. But there is no finer individual to fill this position than Lisa Johnson. She has years of experience in real property and assessment. There is nobody better. I just wish, son of a gun, that she resided within Putnam. She doesn't, but I don't want a negative vote on this vote. I don't want a no to appear because she's that good. And absolutely that worthy of this position. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Jeannie.
I just would like to present a different viewpoint. I feel that if our objective is to declare residency be the priority, that's one matter, but I feel that looking for the best and the most qualified candidate should be our objective. I know that Lisa comes highly recommended. I've even gotten a letter from our town assessor in the town of Patterson supporting her recommendation. So advocating for the best candidate, the person that does the job the best, should be our first and foremost obligation.
Very good. I just want to say that we did receive a legal opinion on this, and it clearly stated that this is a state job also, and Legislator Gross was right on when he said that you're better off not having a conflict of interest to have someone living within the county, and so that came down from New York State. I'm not sure which office it came down from, but I remember reading it, where they said it's better, it is a New York State position and not a county position. So, Lisa, congratulations and welcome. I'm glad you're here. Okay.
You have to vote. It's pro forma, we have to vote. Sorry. Rich, you gotta take.
I'll give you a clap. Okay.
All in favor? You have
The
to.
discussion's over. All in favor?
Aye.
2 abstentions.
Now,
Okay.
congratulations. And on that 5J, approval of local law to amend Article 4 of the Putnam County Charter entitled Department of Finance.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. And then last but not least, 5K, approval senior public health nurse, Department of Social Services, change the compensation system.
Everyone good? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the Audit and Administration Committee, Chairman Castellano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the Audit and Administration Committee, Legislators Albano and Serino, I'd like to move the following items. 5L, it's the approval Approval and there we go. 5L, fund transfer for the finance personnel service for snow fund on the county roads. I'd like to move it forward.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
5M, the approval of fund transfer for finance, year-end journal entry number 2, year ended December 31st, 2012. Zero fiscal impact. Move forward.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
5N, the approval of fund transfer for the Department of Social Services to correct an improper posting has a zero fiscal impact. I'd like to move it forward.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
5O, the approval of a fund transfer for the Department of Social Services to reclassify state aid. This also has a zero fiscal impact.
All in favor?
Aye.
5P, the approval for a budgetary amendment, finance to close out completed capital projects. This is, it's also a zero fiscal impact to coming around.
In favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5Q, this is, okay, this is approval of workers' compensation settlement that we had in Putnam County. Again, we had discussed this in committee, and I think we're ready to move it forward, so I'd like to move it forward.
In favor?
Aye.
5R, it's the approval of a refund of taxes that came out of a tax certiorari case. Okay, approval of refund taxes for Lehman Rider Trust, town of Kent. I'd like to move forward.
In favor?
Yes.
Aye.
5S is the approval of support of Putnam County limited exemption on sales tax and use of taxes on purchases of qualified clothing and footwear. We discussed this in committee where it's a given week where items under $110 won't have a state county sales tax.
In favor?
If we can discuss it?
Sure.
This is an excellent idea, and I applaud the county executive for bringing this forward again. I thought last year they had buried it, and thank goodness he pursued and persevered, and compliments Executive Odell. This is really cool, and it's a big benefit to our residents, and it's a great idea. And I just want to publicly acknowledge that. I know it required a lot of work to bring it back to life again, and I thank you for that.
I also want to compliment the county executive. It's a good idea, and we did it last year. I believe we did it last year, right?
We tried to do it last year, right?
Got stopped. It's a great idea, and the dates are August 16th to the 25th, so I compliment the administration for putting this thing forward, and hope the taxpayers will shop and take advantage of this, this no tax, or reduce the sales tax, I should say. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just quickly, and I think last year we even tried to go further with it, but we were shot down as trying to even get some of the school supplies and other stuff exempt. But this is important because we always talk about sales tax and what goes on, and we really need to, maybe somewhere down the road, and I asked this legislative body, I want to be able to do this, is really to bring in our local chambers of commerce, and because the small business owner is really the cop of what goes on in this community, and if it was not for them, I don't know where we'd be from a financial and budgetary point of view. So I just want to thank the small business owner for what they do each and every day here in Putnam County, because that's what we're made of small business owners who really work hard to really do what needs to be done. So hopefully maybe some point in time, a couple of months down the road, we can invite the local chambers in and just recognize them for the great job they do.
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
5T is the approval of secret determination. This has to do with the Putnam National Golf Course facility. This is a secret.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
One no, excuse me.
On the secret determination?
No, 5U, approval of the bond.
It says here bond.
Okay.
Is that?
Yep, yep.
All right, so we're up to 5U, the approval of a bond resolution for Putnam National Golf Course. This has to do with a partial reconstruction, construction improvements that have to be done to the facility that Putnam County took over some time ago, and there needs to be some improvement done to the facility. We discussed in the committee, and I'd like to move forward.
Discussion.
Discussion?
I spoke.
Raise first.
Thank you, Sam. I spoke at great length during the committee process on this. I'm completely against it. It's $500,000 in bonding. It's split in half between the purchase of equipment and also repairs to the facility, to the clubhouse. We have a $5 million bond on the entire golf course that is callable in 2017, and they're tax-exempt bonds, which means the county can generate a profit, but a private entity cannot. And it's a complicated sort of arrangement. And at this point, we have been losing money on this operation, and I cannot see us spending another $500,000 on this project. And we have been bonding like crazy the last year. I think we have to go a little bit slower and have a plan for this facility going forward. We're sort of in a position right now where we're not quite sure whether or not we're going to run the facility or if we're going to have an outside agency run it. And I really think we need to have that discussion before we move any bonding forward. Thank you.
Sam?
I agree that we have bonded a lot, and we have. We also have some concerns coming from some of our towns within the county asking us to step cautiously with this, with this bond. I've looked at both sides. I've been going back and forth, but this evening I am going to support the bond. I am, because like any homeowner knows, without maintenance of a facility, without maintenance of your grounds, it soon goes foul. Your house starts to fall apart, your grounds start to become overrun. And that would be the case with this golf course. And regardless of whether the county ultimately decides to run it or an outside agency, it needs to be presentable, and it needs to be functional, and it needs to be able to attract the clientele that it has in the past. This is a prideful thing. Remember why we got the golf course. It was to stock over 300 units of housing, covering that whole beautiful landscape. And we did that with the assistance of New York City, Department of Waterworks, DC. Bottom line is, we need to maintain this, and we're on a short time frame, April 1st. Tons of avid golfers are looking forward to that thing opening, and we want it presentable. So I'm going to support it. I'm torn, and Deanie, the points you raised are very valid. But I think this is prudent to do right now, so I will support it.
Carl?
Yeah, I'm going to support the bond resolution. This is something that we're tied to. It's not going to go away. We have to keep it in good shape. We have to make sure it runs correctly. And we got to bring it into a very positive asset for the county. The other thing is bonds right now are at the best rates ever. A lot of this equipment and these things are going to have to be done. I wouldn't want to do them in a couple of years, perhaps when things get better and bond rates are higher. This is the time to put this stuff into position so that we have a jewel and an asset in the county. So I'm going to support it.
Jenny, Barbara, and Roger.
I just want to echo Legislator Alverio and Albano's sentiments. I will support this as well for the obvious reasons that they stipulated. Interest rates are low, labor is low as well, so hopefully we'll get some good recipients of the bid. I also feel that we have to have some foresight. I think it's been obvious that that has been lacking in previous years. There has been no strategic planning. And then we need to incorporate some strategic planning. So a decade of now, we're not faced with some of the issues that we're faced with. So spending money may seem like, gee, we're spending a lot of money, but we're trying to play catch up with the lack of accountability in the past. So hopefully, let's have a little foresight, let's project a little, and let's get on the road to having good, effective management moving forward, whether it's here or in the highway department or other, some of the other departments that have been lacking in previous years. We're the watchdogs. We need to make sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, and we're going to do that.
Barbara.
I also support this bond. I was present at Bruce Walker's presentation on the golf course, and unfortunately, you're going to have to spend money to make money. And if it's kept like it is right now, we're going to lose more money. So I will support this.
I concur with what has been said. I support the bond. We don't have any choice. We have to get the facility ready. I noticed there was an ad in the Events magazine about golf starting in April, which is not that far away. So we really have to get on the stick regarding this. And the Deputy County Executive also pointed out that there are over 60 events that are already booked for the golf club. So they're on their way to make some money and turn things around. So I certainly will support it.
Anthony?
I've voiced my opinion about this golf club, that golf course that went back the last administration. There are, and I encourage the county executive, deputy county executive, to take a road trip down with me. The town of Eastchester did this 20-something years ago when they took over a golf club. It's 20 years later and it won successfully. So if somebody's already created and went through some of the ups and downs, it'd be great to hear what was successful, what wasn't. I'm going to vote for the bond. I do have some conversations when we get to the acquisition of equipment, but I'll come on to that. The other thing is all about marketing. You know, we want to make it palatable for the golfer. It's not 7 or 8 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. The money is not there like it used to be. You know, rounds of golf now, people are not playing as much golf as they used to be because that's expendable money. So that's part of the equation. It's important that we make it, I think, user-friendly for Putnam County, but we also attract other counties to want to come in and want to play golf too. I think that's important moving forward. Where that strategic plan is will be vitally important moving forward. I think we all want to see it be successful in generating money. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Carl?
Just the last thing too, the other thing that makes me want to support this is that I see how much work the administration did on this. They do have a plan, and they spent a lot of time. And when we look at the equipment, this is the first time where we can clearly see what needs to be done. So when I have that in front of me, it makes the decision a lot easier.
Quickly, I just want to say that the administration and the committee level gave an excellent presentation on this, and we were all privy to it. So it's not a, it was all public. The public could have attended, and they did an excellent job. It is true we do not know who's going to run it yet, but we are prepared to either have the county run it or whoever wins the RFP, if we find someone that is capable of running it. But they're ready to go. They made a really good battle plan, and whether it's run by us or a private company, we're ready to go. We need the equipment. We have to do it. There's what Anthony DiCarlo said. We have to tie this in with the public, and I know I was speaking to Vinnie Tamagna about it, and we have Putnam County Days. I mean, we have a transportation system with empty buses. We get the buses to the train stations in Cold Spring and Southeast, and we have bring people up from down below, and they go to the golf course. And the administration, I give them a lot of credit for this because it really was not run properly. And now that the parking lot's going to be blacktop, and people will book, I forget who said it, but they said, what bride wants to walk through the mud in their wedding dress? But now there's a lot of good things happening here, and this bond is a good thing, and the bonding is also factored in with the 2% tax cap. It's in there. So it's not like all of a sudden the bond's going to go out of control. It's factored in. Bill Carlin did an excellent job with this. So with that, I would like to say, do I have a motion? I do. All in favor?
Roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Calling for a roll call vote.
Absolutely not.
All right, roll call vote. Hold on, Dean. You have to call the okay.
Legislator Albano.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
Yes.
Legislator DiCarlo.
Yes.
Legislator Gross.
Yes.
Legislator LeBeau.
Absolutely not.
Legislator Mastromino.
Yes.
Legislator Oliveria.
Yes.
Legislator Scuchinaro.
Yes.
Chairman Ogden.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving forward to 5B, it's the approval of another secret determination, again, with the Putnam National Golf Course. I'd like to move forward.
One no.
All in favor?
Aye.
One no, roll call vote, Deanie? You want-
One no.
Okay.
Okay, 5W, it's the approval of bond resolution, again, for Putnam National Golf Course for the acquisition of various equipment.
Mr. Chairman, discussion?
Go ahead.
And I would like to, this maybe go through physical if that's where it's appropriate. I understand the need to be able to purchase equipment that's no longer wanting, new equipment that we need, but I just want to make sure that moving forward, that we don't make the same mistakes that were made prior. Meaning the following: where is the new equipment or the equipment that's going to be refurbished being stored, so that we don't have some of these weather issues that take place. So I just asked, I understand we need to do it, but as a part moving forward, where the equipment, what kind of rotational cycle for looking at the equipment and repairing it will be, held moving forward. I just asked for, to go back to committee physical under the auspices of Chairman Albano for the physical, just, so we have a better understanding of what that short and long-term, maintenance will be.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
we could put that on physical and just see what kind of plan we're going to have with
Thank you, Andy.
maintenance and how it's protected and
Sure.
whatever. Yeah,
Thank you.
good idea.
I appreciate it.
Who's your clerk? Yeah, for physical. Is it clear?
I got it.
Got it? Okay, thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay. Was that it for you, Joe?
Discussion, I answer discussion.
Oh, we got to make the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
One no. Because this is all the bonding.
Okay, Mr. Joseph, right?
Now I got one more.
You got 5 at Mike?
Yep.
Papers are out of sequence.
5X is for a budgetary amendment for the Putnam National Golf Course, again, for equipment purchases and renovations. Again, this is all the same issues in mind, and again, I'd like to move forward.
All in favor?
One no.
Okay, 1 no. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, other business. We already moved this. A and B are done.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move item 6C, and that's an approval authorization for a legislator to attend the American Cold War Veterans Annual Convention. And I want to preference this request for approval that this is an important conference. Many of us were in the military during the Cold War, not necessarily a field of combat. I caught the tail end of the Vietnam conflict in 1975. The war ended in 72. I'm considered a Vietnam-era vet, but Cold War status, as many of my comrades who are in the service, are in the same situation. This convention is important because many of the benefits that go to our veterans who have fought during action, whether they were in a theater of war or not, many of the benefits they receive are denied to the Cold War veterans. They're not recognized as not being the same, but just not being in that theater of conflict, whether they, again, served in the battlefield or not. And many of these Cold War veterans did a lot of crazy stuff in police actions that were not recognized as, time of battle or time of war. And yet, I can think of 2 captains when I was stationed in Korea who were killed by the North Koreans with axes when they went on the DMZ right there between North and South Korea to cut down a tree, authorized, and they were ambushed and killed. And this was 1976. Now, those individuals received, no compensation as war veterans. The individuals who supported them in the short firefight that occurred received no benefits. And this convention is very important because it puts those things out. So I ask this legislature to support sending one of our individuals here to this conference.
I'd just like to add to that, you think of Grenada, the Mayaguez incident.
Exactly.
I just came back from Korea, and got a history lesson there. All the conflicts you speak of, Legislator O'Hara, that 1976 accident of captain and a lieutenant, there's a memorial there. And the intensity at the Korean border is as strong now as it was in 1953. And there have been many, many incidents. There are 3 tunnels. I went in one of the tunnels. Incidents of North Koreans coming through and killing South Koreans and killing Americans. And so they should get the recognition that is long overdue. So I certainly support this. I'm glad you're going to Washington.
No, thank you. I just want to say, you mentioned the Mayaguez. In the Marine Corps, a guy I went to boot camp with, Walter Boyd, he was one of the Marines killed in the Mayaguez. And in Guantanamo Bay, when I was there, we had 2 U.S. Navy guys with machine gun to death because they got too close to the wire. And in Turkey, when I was there, we lost people. So it is a lost place. So, all in favor?
Aye.
What's that, Clem?
Oh, we need a second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, recognition of the public. If you would like to speak, if you would come up to the podium, sir, and state your name.
My name is Jerry Revniski, and I'd like to commend the legislature for passing the law regarding the application and disposal of waste associated with the natural gas exploration and extraction activities. I think that the legislature has educated themselves and become educated about the serious dangers and the health risks to every resident in this county if such substances were spread on our roads and the radioactivity were to spread. It would affect our air quality, our water quality. It would spread on the tires of the cars going in people's driveway and people's houses. It could cause serious illnesses and death. So I commend you for doing that, and I hope that the individual towns, the 6 towns, would see fit to protect the residents of their towns. I think the town boards are concerned about the health, and I think they can easily show that concern about the health of the residents by each of them passing laws that would protect the public. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Well, first of all, I want to thank the board so much for passing this critical, important piece of legislation that protects us in Putnam County, which we definitely need. I want to just read an excerpt also from a paper from Ivan White. He's a senior scientist with the National Council of Radiation Protection, which illustrates how important this legislation is. As per Mr. White, quote, radioactivity in the environment, especially the presence of the known carcinogen radium, poses a potentially significant threat to human health. He goes on to say, horizontal hydrofracking for natural gas in the Marcellus Shale region of New York State has the potential to result in the production of large amounts of waste materials containing radium-226 and radium-228 in both solid and liquid mediums. I would add to this statement that this waste product is already being accepted in New York State from nearby regions in Pennsylvania, and also from, you probably know, from vertical wells that are occurring in New York State, but they're not as deep and they're not as radioactive as the vertical wells. Pathways of radiation from frack waste described in Mr. White's paper include runoff from roads, spreading to waterways, and grazing fields or crops, potentially polluting both the water supply and the food chain. Additional pathways include dried radioactive waste on roads, which could be resuspended into dust and carried into the area by vehicles, resulting in humans and animals inhaling this dust. For this reason, it is so critical for the health of all living things in Putnam that this radioactive and chemically toxic waste is not allowed in our county. Now, the county legislature has made a very important first step in safeguarding our population. However, the state roads, I just wanted to mention, which traverse our county, have not been addressed in this legislation. And nor, as you know, the town roads and wastewater treatment facilities have also not. So I think it's fair to say that nobody wants to see our beautiful region exposed to radioactive waste. So at this juncture, it is up to the towns to close the gap by moving forward with similar legislation, and also to find a way to cover the state roads as well. Thank you. Thank you so much for your work. I really, really appreciate it, and I know many of our citizens in Putnam feel the same. And I have a document for you from our working group, which basically gives you, puts on the record some documents that you probably already have personally, but we wanted to put them on the record. And again, thank you so much. And lastly, I do have copies of Ivan White's papers for the press, and I have a few extras, maybe for the Commissioner of Health, and he may already have them though, but or other people who might want to take a look at it. So I want to submit this.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
You better hurry, there's a storm coming, we have to spread it tonight.
Good evening, my name is Ann Finizzi, and I chair the Putnam County Coalition to Preserve Open Space, and I am a board member of CWC. 2 years ago, I stood here and, along with Legislator Alvario and Legislator Ockmer and Legislator Dini Rabu, commended the legislature for passing the moratorium. And now I stand here 2 years later, greeting other new members on a very critical piece of legislation. And I thank you all for all of your efforts and, of course, efforts of the working group. I will maintain my statements relatively short because I want to express the statement from a true pioneer in the protection of water and the watershed, and that is Dr. Marion Rose. Dr. Marion Rose is a PhD. She's 92 years old. And she could not come here. And so I have her statement, and she asked me to read it. So I am privileged to read her statement. According to a 2011 USGS report that focuses on New York and Pennsylvania, analysis of the water produced with gas commonly show elevated levels of salinity and radium. These elevated levels of radium, specifically radium-226, have been corroborated in the New York State DEC SGEIS, where 11 wells all showed levels of radium-226 that exceeded the maximum contaminant level for water, from the lowest excess of 120 times to over 1,000 times the maximum contaminant level. This highly radioactive water mixed with brine from the wells will be a threat to our future health if spread on our roads. RA-226 has a half-life of 1,600 years, or about 80 generations. According to the USGS report, it takes an additional 10 half-lives for a radioactive element to decay to negligible quantities. From a human point of view, this is forever. As an illustration, the lab notebooks used by the Curies, the discoverers of radium, still cannot be safely handled over 100 years later. In addition to being spread through car and truck tires onto roads all over the county and onto private driveways and into garages, road brine runoff during storm events can enter our streams, our wetlands, recharge areas, aquifers, lakes, and ponds. And we all know we are a watershed county. Chemically, radium behaves in a manner similar to calcium and is capable of being accumulated in plants and in animals. Ra-226 is a carcinogen, and when ingested or inhaled, concentrates in the bone and can cause leukemia. This is from the EPA. If Governor Cuomo allows high-level hydraulic fracturing, there is little likelihood that the brine from future wells in New York State will be any less radioactive than the 11 wells already mentioned. The reason is that the New York State Marcellus Shale, so-called black shale, contains unusually high levels of organic material formed some 300 million years ago in algae and the then existing seas. U-238, of which radium-226 is a decay product, preferentially bonds to organic material. The high radioactive levels already encountered are not merely aberrations and are likely to continue. In conclusion, for our sakes, and for those of future generations, we strongly urge that Putnam County prohibit the spreading of fracking brine onto its roads as quickly as possible. And she thanks you all and regrets she could not be here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. Mr. Kenny, and then third in the back. Let Mr. Kenny go, and then you come forward.
It's too bad that there's 16 counties in New York State now spreading the brine.
16 are spreading it? I know you're going to yell at me, but
What's that?
I said you're going to yell at me. I can see it.
No, I'm not going to yell at you. I used to, but but I can handle it then. Not that high. I'm here to beat a dead horse, which has to do with the golf course. So I'm up here just out of concern that what is passed won't be prologue. This is probably my fourth time here in concern with the golf course. I'm an avid golfer. Chronologically, let me go through the story. We purchased the golf course, wanting not to have condos. I came back from my business trip that February, back 10 years ago, and said, oh, the paper, hooray, we got our own golf course. Hey, this is great. The citizens, residents have their own golf course. Very good. It's very good for the county. It's going to bring in tourism, et cetera, et cetera. I saw wonderful things happening. To find out right away in March, April, like now, there's absolutely no equipment there. So I said, well, who did the negotiation on this little fiasco of to buy a golf course and there's nothing there to operate it? So then you had to float a bond to do that, to buy the equipment, if I'm correct in all this. And then we hired not a guy, a pro, two pros locally wanted to take it over. But no, we got to go to Ohio and get somebody. He ran it pretty good for the first year. Second year, he had some grand ideas. But then something came up. We had a little problem in Ohio in front of Walmarts. We won't go into that. So he left. Then we had an interim management, which was Mr. Gary. Wonderful man, I've known a long time. I'll repeat what I said up here about 4 years, 5 years ago. that Mr. Gary knows as much about running a golf course / banquet hall and restaurant as I do about doing brain surgery on you all. And so let me skip the chronological. So we run that for, oh, and by the way, during that tenure, we had a new pro shop put in that could have been put in Pebble Beach. It was so nice. We did a new bar, lounge area. We changed the configuration of the snack bar 3 times in 2 years or less. I don't know what the heck that was all about. And then we put up a tote board, $36,000 tote board, only to then to give it to some outsourcing for somebody else to make money off of all the input of money we put into it. Okay? During that time, I found out from the pro, who used to confer with me on the 8th hole, that the course made money, the golf course made money. The restaurant was bringing it down, okay? So it would have been behooved the overseers, as somebody said, and the watchdogs to take the restaurant and the banquet facilities and put them out to somebody, rent them out. Somebody who knows what they're doing. Because so far to this point, we had nobody knowing what they're doing. So then I came up, and it was in the old building, they're going to prioritize it. Well, I was against it and spoke about it. I said, this spending all this money to have somebody else down reap the harvest is just not a good idea. My father wouldn't approve of that at all. So they didn't do it that year. The following year they did. And they had it up in the little old courthouse over here. I came in at the last minute to find out that it's on floor then. So I brought it in. I raised my hand and I was told directly by Mr. Hayes that it's not open for public discussion. I said, well, that's democratic. And so they voted to privatize it. So I'm out in the hallway, John Tully tells me, don't be upset, don't be upset. It's going to be the same as it was. I said, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not, the Hoboken outfit is not going to do a good job. So I just know it's not. And I said, besides, the first thing they're going to do is raise the golf fees. Oh, no. Make it cut to $3. Well, I used to spend $16 to play Twilight, because when I closed my business, I had to go to Twilight, get a few holes in. I get a golf cart, and I get to play. How many holes I could get in for $16. Because, as I told Paulina, the object is not to make money, it's just to break even. Because this place is for, this entity is for the residents of the county. So we're not looking to make money. Break even, make a few bucks maybe, okay. So, with that, I went over to play golf. I was told I had to get a $40 card as a senior citizen and a resident of the county, right off the bat. And then the fee for the same thing that I enjoyed was now $36 to $38. So subsequently, I haven't played since. Probably out of my Irish spite. I wasn't going to give those people my money. And I saw this golf course run to the ground again. I kept on top of it with Carlin and different people. They didn't pay their $250. Then I got the contract, or someone ever got the contract. Mr. Carl gave me the contract. I said, they give us $258,000, but we give them back $217,000 for maintenance. I want that deal. Please, where do I sign that contract? I mean, what kind of a... And then to have the place run down. So obviously, I didn't spend the $217,000 on maintenance. Because I don't play there, but I had plenty of people that play. And they said, it's deplorable. Can't even put a pansy here once in a while, or a tee or something. I mean, whatever. So I hope, again, what is passed is not prologue. And that, that I get to, whoever takes it over, the county or another Hoboken type of consortium, you have it in the contract that we, who are paying for this, get to enjoy it and don't have to pay $60, $70 to play around the golf during the day. So that's my take on it. And I think, thank you for the qualified clothing and footwear exemption, because I hope that applies to my Minnetonka sandals and moccasins that I sell. A little plug in there. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Gentleman in the back.
Hi, my name is David Amram. I just wanted to come to thank all of you on behalf of all the children that live in Putnam County, including my own 3 kids who were brought up here, went to public school here. For the 30 years I've been at the 4-H fair, playing the Star Spangled Banner and selling corn, I see many of you, many of the legislators, many of the politicians, most of the people in this room come there. What we try to do is to show our kids that there's life beyond reality TV, junk food, junk culture, and all the things that we do to poison our children, that there are grown-ups who care and love our children. I hope that their children will be able to live in a society where we have clean air, clean water, and good food. There's no guarantee that the fracking bill, which you've been courageous enough to pass the ban on, is a guarantee of nuclear poison and possibly ecological genocide, but there's a very strong probability. So I would only suggest, since you've done a very courageous thing and are setting a good example not only for other counties in New York, but for the entire country and our national government, to show that sanity, care for the water that we drink, the air we breathe, the children and grandchildren that we have are more important than any political divisions. You've all transcended politics by doing something that's sane and rational and courageous and healthy. So when we come to the 4-H fair next year, we won't be concerned about the 10% of the poisons that happened outside the home, but the 100% poisons that would happen if this had gone through, and then it was too late. You've done a wonderful, courageous thing. And I would humbly suggest in the future for all of us, when we're told that taking something that could possibly bring in more business by canceling a wonderful business opportunity, to remember that 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl do not have a good tax base, they don't attract tourism, and they don't have many people living there because they're dead zones. And Putnam County is not a dead zone. It's one of the most beautiful places in the country, and this will help it to remain that way. And secondly, if you need medical help for your health and longevity, you don't hire Dr. Kevorkian. No one asked for us to commit ecological suicide, so with all due respect to Dr. Kevorkian as a great scientist, I think we've made a better choice by choosing a different doctor called Healthy, Sane, Rational Living. You all deserve a lot of credit and a big applause from all of us. And I hope that people in this room will tell other people in other parts of the country that if Putnam County can do this, every county in the country that still has time can do the same thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Putnam County Board of Legislators. My name is Christy Acavone. I'm a legal fellow with Riverkeeper, and I just wanted to reiterate some of the sentiments of our previous speakers about the natural gas-based ban. Riverkeeper is a member-supported watchdog organization dedicated to defending the Hudson River and its tributaries and protecting the drinking water supply of 9 million New York City and Hudson Valley residents. Riverkeeper is actively involved in advocacy around the issue of fracking, particularly because of potential impacts on the state drinking water supply. Riverkeeper commends the board for passing this crucial legislation to protect county residents from the dangers posed by improperly treated and repurposed frack waste. As previous speakers stated, this timing of this legislation is critical because the sale, acceptance, and disposal of fracking waste is currently occurring in New York State. As legislator Skirmara indicated, there is brine spreading in 16 counties in New York, and this will continue regardless of whether high-volume hydraulic fracturing is allowed to go forward by New York State. The board steps tonight will help to ensure that the hazardous effects of fracking do not harm Putnam County residents. Riverkeeper also supports the board's recommendation contained in the legislation to each Putnam municipality to adopt similar prohibitions within their borders, and we strongly encourage each town supervisor to follow the county's lead. Each town can take a significant step towards protecting its citizens by enacting legislation at the municipal level that mirrors the county's efforts. To truly shield Putnam residents from the hazards of this fracking waste, towns must act to provide protections that are not afforded in the countywide legislation and prevent the sale, acceptance, and disposal of this waste within their town borders. In conclusion, Riverkeeper praises the board for passing this critical bill and reiterates its support for all Putnam municipalities to enact similar legislation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just get this too?
Sure.
Good evening. Thank you to the Putnam County Board of Legislators for the opportunity to address you this evening regarding your passage of legislation this evening of the ban on the sale, application, and disposal in Putnam County of radioactive waste for natural gas drilling. We highly commend this Board of Legislators for addressing this critically important issue, and courage is the right word to use for a bipartisan unanimous passage of this critically important legislation. My name is Ellen Weininger, and I am the Educational Outreach Director for Grassroots Environmental Education, a science-based environmental health nonprofit which works with a network of leading medical and scientific experts to bring peer-reviewed scientific research to local and state governments, school systems, environmental and health organizations across the state, tri-state area nationwide. You've already heard from several speakers about some of the many concerns, and you've already studied this issue, and I think certainly bears that information is important for this audience to hear, but I will take the opportunity to summarize my remarks and just say radioactive toxic fracking waste from shale gas drilling operations can potentially cause irreparable damage to water, air, land, food supplies, and public health. Not something that we can mitigate. And we've already stated that there is no safe disposal plan in place for the billions of gallons of radioactive waste that is generated from gas extraction activities. It has been already cited that this mixture, this highly toxic mixture, contains heavy metals, volatile organic compounds, brine that is 8 times saltier than seawater, high levels of naturally occurring radioactive materials, including radium-226 and 228, whose decay product is radon. These kinds of exposures are known carcinogens, and they are linked to bone, liver, and breast cancer. Exposure to radium, in particular, is associated with these health outcomes. Radon itself is a known carcinogen and is considered to be the leading cause of lung cancer in the United States for non-smokers nationwide, and the second leading cause of lung cancer for smokers. Although this radioactive waste is hazardous and in fact exceeds the legal criteria for hazardous waste classification, it is categorized as industrial waste under federal and state laws as a result of special exemptions given to the oil and gas industry. These exemptions eliminate tracking requirements for its handling, storage, treatment, and disposal. These special exemptions are part of the Energy Policy Act of 2005, which exempts the oil and gas industry from the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Clean Drinking Water Act, the Clean Air Act, the Superfund Act, and many other safeguards that are regulations on a federal and state level that other industries are bound by. Radioactive wastewater from gas drilling operations could contaminate and enter the food supply through fish and farmland. Vehicles that transport radioactive waste increase the risk of human exposure, as it has already been outlined. The gas industry trucks hauling fracking waste are unmarked trucks. They do not have any hazardous waste warning signs or emergency instructions so that in the event of a spill or an accident, emergency responders and nearby citizens would be unaware of the danger. Additionally, wastewater treatment plants are not designed to treat chemicals, contaminants, and highly radioactive materials produced from fracking operations, according to numerous leading scientific experts. In fact, high bromide levels in fracking waste are especially problematic since they are highly corrosive to equipment and can react during water treatment to form brominated trihalomethanes linked to bladder and colon cancers and are associated with birth defects. Once added to drinking water supplies, trihalomethanes are difficult to eliminate. As you already learned, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation allows the road spreading of fracking brine, which involves de-icing and dust control as some of the applications, and involves exposures of drivers and passengers and tracking these dangerous radioactive pollutants, and also runs the risk of becoming airborne. There are also instances that are well known around the country of midnight dumping of these chemicals, these radioactive waste products by gas contractors, and they are dumped in ditches, on roadsides, and on wetlands, and actually on real property as well, and farmland. Other local governments are also expressing concerns and are taking urgent steps to enact fracking waste ban legislation to protect their water supplies and public health. Ulster and Westchester counties passed similar fracking waste ban legislation last year. Dutchess, Orange, and Rockland counties have recently begun the process, and we're pleased to know that that Putnam County is now a model for this legislation. Whether or not high-volume hydrofracking is permitted in New York State, the disposal of highly contaminated and radioactive gas drilling waste, drill cuttings, and sludge poses an immediate public health threat for all New Yorkers. Waste from active vertical gas wells in New York State, as well as hydrofracking operations in Pennsylvania, is being spread on New York roads for de-icing and dust control, is being accepted by New York for its landfills and wastewater treatment facilities. With lax oversight from the state and absence of federal and state regulations, local governments must act to protect their residents from dangerous exposures. We highly commend, again, in closing, the Putnam County Board of Legislators for protecting the county's infrastructure and economy and the public health of the good people of Putnam County from highly radioactive toxic waste by enacting the fracking waste ban legislation. We also strongly urge local Putnam municipalities to provide public health protections in their own communities by enacting local legislation without further delay. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Good evening, legislators. My comments are similar. I'll be quick in giving them then. I'm Susanna Glidden. I'm a member of the Croton Board, the Croton Watershed Clean Water Coalition, and I'm a resident of the Croton Watershed and living very nearby, just over the border in North Salem. So, I thank you all for taking up this critically important initiative and hope the towns will quickly follow suit. The issue of spreading radioactive brine, including lethal heavy metals, volatile organic compounds, and toxic chemicals on any of your roads, be they town, county, or state, has potentially severe implications for those of us in northern Westchester or southern Dutchess. What you do to protect or not protect all of the roads in Putnam could have a direct impact on roads and groundwater near me by transporting road surface applications via car tires and by stormwater runoff. I'm just a few hundred feet from the Putnam border. The same applies to wastewater treatment facilities that are unable to treat this toxic brew, and it spews out untreated radioactivity and chemicals into the ground, streams, and rivers that contribute to our aquifers and well water. The sooner this potential nightmare is prohibited on all roads, including, I don't know how you're going to handle it, state roads, in Putnam and in all wastewater treatment plants, including municipal plants, the sooner your constituents and your neighbors will feel relieved of concern. As you know, a comprehensive bill covering all these contingencies, in addition to no sale or disposal anywhere in the county, was passed unanimously and signed into law in Westchester. One would think that the New York City Department of Environmental Protection and/or the State Department of Environmental Conservation would live up to those names by being the lead on this public health, water, and land protection effort to protect the entire state. Tomorrow, for instance, in Connecticut, a hearing is being held on their proposed state law that prohibits the treatment, discharge, disposal, or storage of hydraulic fracturing waste anywhere in their state. Unfortunately, there's no such statewide protection here in New York. The mission, in part, of the DEC Division of Mineral Resources in charge of fracking and its side effects is to regulate the development, production, and utilization of natural resources of oil and gas in such a manner that a greater ultimate recovery of oil and gas may be had. DEC, as you heard from Ellen Weininger, is issuing permits called beneficial use determinations, BUDs, for municipalities to spread frac brine from New York vertical gas drilling operations. Hence, the southern tier, someone mentioned 16 counties, is awash in frac brine. Where is the consideration of our health and our well-being, of our grandchildren for 7 generations to come? We are fortunate to live outside the Marcellus and the Utica shale deposits, and to have legislators and municipal officials who understand the threat of frac waste and who are acting to prevent it. Our deep appreciation to all of you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Susan Van Dolson. I'm a resident of Harrison, New York, and I'm a member of this working group in Westchester that advocated for the bill that prohibited the sale, application, and disposal of gas drilling waste in Westchester County, which passed unanimously and was signed in December and was signed by the county executive. I'm so grateful to our legislators and to you, Putnam Legislature, and for recognizing the need to protect your residents from this toxic wastewater. And I urge the county executive, who I believe is here, to sign it into law as soon as possible. I'd just quickly like to cover a couple of paragraphs that were in the testimony presented by Elizabeth Radow, a Westchester County practicing attorney, and also chair of the Committee on Energy, Agriculture, and the Environment for the New York State League of Women Voters. And she has published an article that's been cited in the New York Times and other nationally recognized publications, and she speaks regularly with people living in other states where gas drilling is polluting and poisoning public and private waterways. The fracking waste is often responsible, and in May 2012, the NRDC released a report that concluded that none of the common ways that are being used now to handle frack waste are safe. In recognition of the risks to our drinking water supply, Governor Cuomo, these are her words, and the DEC have agreed in principle to exempt the New York City watershed from fracking. How ironic it would be to prohibit the actual fracking in the New York City watershed, but then to allow the poisonous radioactive waste that results from fracking to enter the county for de-icing and dust control purposes, only to have it run off from the treated roads into the very reservoir system that the governor, DEC, and all of us who drink that water want to protect. Therefore, it's an excellent step for Putnam County in this watershed to have passed this law and to protect the areas surrounding the runoff areas. The other issue she raised is, if there is contamination, who pays? The gas industry exemptions have the effect of shifting liability onto property owners and taxpayers, whose water then becomes contaminated from fracking waste. If the pollution were to occur in the waterways around Putnam as a result of frack waste brought here for treatment on road spreading or de-icing, the county would expose the residents to the cleanup as a taxpayer expense. And as was cited earlier in the discussion about the golf course, there is a struggle with the 2% tax cap. I think it was about the golf course. Actually, it might not have been. Anyway, it was mentioned. A sizable portion of the municipal budget is already attributed to cleaning up waste, and this would just be another issue. And in fact, the wastewater treatment plants could be damaged, and that would be an irreparable probably thing. And how do you ever mitigate radioactive waste? So I am commending you, this is my own words now, for passing legislation, and as others have stated, it's now time for hopefully all of these town supervisors to be advised by all of you to follow along and do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Laura Niederhofer. I am a resident of Yorktown Heights and also helped support the passage of the similar law in Westchester regarding the disposal of drilling waste. I am deeply appreciative that the legislators of Westchester and now here in Putnam County recognize the danger posed by accepting drilling waste and have taken these steps to protect public health and the environment. According to the Agricultural and Farmland Plan for Putnam County, there are 11,309 acres classified as agriculture, 6,842 of which are active farmland. Farms are a multi-million-dollar industry for Putnam and a sustainable driver of the economy. This law is instrumental in protecting the industry from the threat of hazardous radioactive waste. There is an ever-growing body of documented reports of livestock illness and death from acute toxicity poisoning from exposure to the fluids used during the fracturing process. Cows exposed to fracking fluids have experienced difficulty breeding and higher rates of stillborn and deformed calves. In addition, humans are also not immune to these impacts on the reproductive and neurological systems. I urge the individual towns to extend this protection. Consumer confidence is essential for the success of any food producer. There are serious implications for Putnam County agriculture, whether contamination occurs or not, if the public learns food is produced in an area where fracking fluids are spread on roads and able to leach into surrounding soil and contaminate drinking water resources. It is critical that the local municipalities enact similar legislation to prevent consumers from doubting the quality and safety of locally produced foods. I commend the Putnam County Board of Legislators for passing the law to prohibit the sale, application, or disposal of drilling waste on county roads and county-owned wastewater treatment facilities, which will help protect the county's agricultural industry and ensure that it continues to play a vital role in the development of the county's economic and cultural fabric. It cannot be stressed enough that this protection be expanded to truly safeguard public and animal health. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Before we go for recognition of legislators, if we're all in agreement, Diane, can we make sure that we send out correspondence to the 6 towns and 3 villages in the county saying that we encourage them to adopt this, and to our state reps also?
We have it as a passage in our law as well.
Okay, so we want to make sure they get this, and we encourage them to strongly adopt our law also. Okay, recognition of legislators. Everyone, I'll start with Anthony.
Yeah, I'd just like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Haldane boys and girls basketball team, Putnam Valley, and Mahopac for making it to the county center. Although they were not successful, I think it's a great testimony to the years that they had. I know myself and Sam were at a game at the same night, and to see the enthusiasm on the student body and the cheering sections, and to have Putnam County have those teams down at the county center is a tribute to their schools, and also it's great recognition for Putnam County. So I want to congratulate all those players and coaches and cheerleaders for an outstanding job. I hope to see you at the parade this Sunday, the St. Patrick's Day Putnam County Parade. Thank you.
I just want to wish everyone a happy Easter and happy Passover, and I want to just remind everybody this Sunday in Mount Pack we'll be having our St. Patrick's Day Parade. It starts at 2 p.m. and I hope to see you there.
Joe, fine, Roger.
11 days to St. Patrick's Day. I wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patty's Day, Easter, and Passover. Yes.
I just want to go back and highlight on the fracking gas waste ban law. I just want to say that this law that we adopted tonight speaks to not only the merit of the law and the spirit of the law, but most importantly, the integrity of the law. We have not infringed upon home rule, and I am confident that every municipality across Putnam County will follow our lead and support this and adopt similar legislation. This local law certainly protects the health, safety, and welfare of Putnam County residents, and I offer accolades to Legislator Oliverio for bringing this critical issue to the forefront. Like to just say is that on February 25th, I was honored to represent this legislature at the dedication ceremony for Robert McMahon, former Commissioner of Emergency Services. Bob was recognized for his dedication and service to the people of Putnam County. The facility is named in his honor and is now the Robert McMahon 911 Emergencies Communication Center. I felt privileged partaking in this ceremony and honoring such a fine human being who has dedicated most of his life towards helping others. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just happy Easter and peaceful and good Passover. I also want to just make one mention of something. We're a very young legislature right now. 6 of our members haven't yet completed a full term. And with that, you gain knowledge as you gain experience. They go hand in hand. I would urge each of our legislators, myself included, to review the charter again, if you haven't already done so, and I know many of you have. The charter is our Bible. That's what guides us. That really is our roadmap to any decision we need to make. And the more we become familiar with that charter, the more we can move forward with great focus and great purpose. I know there were some issues recently. Thank goodness everything's been resolved. We're a fine working board, but we're a young board, and I just make that recommendation.
What is this charter thing you keep talking
about? Richie, I love you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Just a quick mention, I was an evaluator at a 4-H function at Green Chimneys along with Legislator Gross.
I was there too.
Were you there? Yes. Oh, sorry. Jenny was there too. It was on public presentations. These children got up and picked a topic and presented. Here I thought it was all about cows and chickens. But it's not. It's a lot better than that. It's a lot deeper. And I also never knew what the 4-H's were. Does anybody know what the 4-H's and 4-H are? Head for clearer thinking, heart for greater loyalty, hands for larger service, and health for better living. We should all abide by this. It was a great event.
Thank you, Barbara. Quickly, I just want to recognize someone that passed away in Putnam County. He graduated high school at Carl and I, Robert McDonough from Mahopac. His sister-in-law was Susan McDonough. She's a Carmel Town Board member and a good friend of Carl's and I, and he passed away suddenly, and to his family and his brothers Raymond and John and his mom's lives. So just McDonough family is a very big family down in the Mahopac area. So, and with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
All in favor?
There.